نبينا محمد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي وقل ربي زدني علما.
Okay, assalamu alaikum everybody. Aman, how are you?
Good.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you for attending. Okay, so since this is recorded, I'll just go ahead and introduce ourselves for everybody. So I am the RSA academic counselor. I'm Sister Sana. Thank you for attending high school curriculum night today. And we're going to go through basically our host of teachers and what we have to offer for you guys and answer any questions that you may guys have today. As I said, I'm Sister Sana. I teach biology. Part of our high school staff includes Sister Iman, who gave the dua, Sister Muniza, Sister Susie, Sister Mahreen, Sister Erica, Sister Aisha, Sister Fatima, Sister Ruwaida, Brother Warren, Sister Jill, Dr. Dole, and Brother Sami. Okay, so now that we are starting high school, most of you have already met with me. All of you guys have met with me to create a graduation plan. And there are two types of graduations you can follow. You can have the foundation high school program, is what you need to have the minimum amount of credits to graduate. And those of you who complete an endorsement will graduate with distinguished level of achievement. And you will get this designation on your transcript. And most of our students who have selected an endorsement in the STEM field or one of the 5 endorsements that we've discussed during graduation plan qualify for distinguished level of achievement. We offer advanced placement and dual credit courses so students can earn those college credits, save their time, save their money. We have a great partnership with Dallas County Community College that allows the students to take these courses at least the dual credit courses at no cost. And then we have certified advanced placement teachers that offer rigorous, challenging courses as well that colleges like to look at. And then we have EOCs for some courses in high school. So in order to graduate, you need to not only pass the class, but you need to pass the EOC for English 1, English 2. So English 1 is in 9th grade, English 2 is in 10th grade. Algebra 1, most of our students take this course in 8th grade, but if not, depending on their graduation plan, they will have to take Algebra 1 EOC at some point in their high school career. Biology is a 9th grade typically 9th grade EOC course, and US history is 11th grade. And we are happy to announce that, mashallah, all of our US history students were commended on their EOC with Sister Mahreen last year, mashallah. So these are the typical courses that students will take throughout their high school career. And Sister Muniza has marked which courses we offer AP courses for as well. Again, that looks great on your college transcript and shows colleges that you are prepared to take college courses, higher level courses. Makes your transcript more, what's the word?
Vivacious.
Competitive. Yes, thank you, Sister Jessie, and competitive as well. Welcome, Sister Jessie. And then we have these dual credit courses that we offer, and within them we have different levels as well, right? You have Bio 1, Bio 2, chemistry, there's levels of chemistry, and most of you guys who have gone through the graduation plan with me know we have already assigned or kind of planned out which dual credit courses and AP courses that you want to take, but you are always welcome to add to your graduation plan. Remember, that's more of a guide and not set in stone. So if there are any classes that you feel like you want to add later on, we can always do that or remove. Thank you, Sister Muniza. Again, we are a STEM-based school, right? So we're going to focus on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And we do this through the support of project-based learning. We want all of our students to have these real-life problem solving skills. So students should not be asking, why are we learning this, right? What is the point? They know why know why they are learning this, and they're able to make connections between what they're learning and what they will encounter in the real world. And we incorporate a lot of technology into their projects as well, so they are up to date and up to speed with what the actual career world has to offer. And that's why we encourage a lot of teamwork and a lot of group work, because we know nowadays, when you graduate high school and you enter the job field, right, a lot of work nowadays is based off of teamwork, using all of those resources that technology resources that Google has to offer, Microsoft has to offer. So we try to keep our students as up to date on technology as possible. Okay, this is again just going through the AP courses that we offer and how they are scored. You can get, the highest you can get is a 5 when you take the AP exam, and 3 or more is passing. So if you get a 1 or 2, you don't pass the exam, but it does show that you were able to take a rigorous course. And then it also shows the equivalency of the college class. So how many credits that would be in a college level class. So for example, AP Bio, if you're able to pass that exam, it's equivalent to Bio 1 and Bio 2. And in graduation plans, when we do set those, I did discuss that depending on the career you're entering, so these are great courses you're taking, but let's say you're going into health science. If you are taking AP Bio and you do submit it, that's great, but we don't really wish to transfer a lot of these AP classes within the field that you are looking to pursue, just so these will set a solid foundation for you, but we still want, the colleges still will want to look at higher level university courses in your transcripts. Thank you, Sister Mita. And then, like I said, I am the academic counselor. So I do meet with students periodically. We go over their grades, we go over their GPA, we plan out what classes they're going to take per semester. So even though we've created the graduation plan, we always refer back to it, make changes as needed. And I have started advising students on a weekly basis. So your students will probably let you know, I've met with a handful of them already. And I'm always here to answer any questions you need academically in regards to your high school courses, in regards to how courses will transfer, in regards to planning for college and applying to colleges. SAT, ACT, we have an agenda that we go over with each grade depending on what their needs are, and so I try to meet that with them. So we have weekly, bi-weekly, and then semester meetings as well, depending on if it's an individual basis or a class basis. So all parents and students, please feel free to contact me with any questions you may have about your students' transcripts, grades, classes, etc. Thank you. Again, these are just a list of the dual credit courses. You can find an exhausted list on our website. So if you go to radiantstem.com, it also lists all the classes that students are able to take at Radiant STEM Academy with our dual credit program, because there's a list of approved classes basically. And this is just a continuation of that list. And then you should note that some of these classes do require prerequisites. So most of you guys know that you do need to take the TSI before you can even attempt the dual credit courses. And then once you do take the TSI, that will open the whole lot of classes for you. But some courses do need that prerequisite. So for example, you cannot take Arabic 2 without taking Arabic 1. So that's just something to keep in mind when you are planning your classes. Make sure there's no prerequisites, or that you have met the prerequisites before you move on. Okay, so let's start with high school science. I am also the 9th grade biology teacher. I have the pleasure to teach these students high school biology. So again, like I said, at the end of this course, there is an EOC. So we work hard to not only prepare for the EOC, but also bring in and tie in real world examples. There are 4 different topics or big ideas that we cover in 9th grade biology. So that's going to be evolution, energy, genetics, and ecology. This is just kind of a breakdown of some of the things that we'll be looking at in some of the different chapters. And what is really important here is critical thinking and applying content to practice. Okay, so application, I'm not looking for memorization of different terms and things. We're looking for application of what we learn. And we'll do that through the PBL, STEM-based PBL projects that we have throughout the year, inshallah. Thank you, Sister Munisa. We also offer, like I said, AP Bio. I am also AP Bio certified. And this is just a much higher level of biology. We have a lot of critical thinking. We have at this point, the application process comes into big play, right? Students have to now start putting their ideas into essay form, into word form, through inquiry-based investigations. They'll have to be able to string different ideas together from different topics. So this is a very fast-paced, highly challenging course. It's very rigorous. You do have to complete some lab requirements as a mandatory part of this class. And again, it's equivalent to Bio 1 and Bio 2, but it is a very fun course that will give you AP Bio credit and give you a solid foundation, especially for those health science students. Thank you, Sister Munisa. And chemistry, I'll turn it over to Sister Fatima.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Fatima Sulaiman, if you have any new parents. So I'll take you through the chemistry curriculum. The chemistry TEACS curriculum has 12 main units covering a wide range of disciplines within chemistry, as you can see here. We ask that students be responsible learners by turning in weekly assignments on time and reading during the weekends. Practice is key in chemistry. We do a lot of STEM-based projects and labs, bringing in creativity and hands-on components. There is no end-of-course assessment for honors chemistry. And at this point, the science fair becomes optional, but we do give extra credit for students who wish to take part in it. So yeah, that's for chemistry and AP chemistry. AP chemistry is usually taken after general high school chemistry is completed. So you have to have that done. The course is quite intense, covering 9 main units. Algebra is also a prerequisite. So you have to have done that somewhere in the high school before you start this. The AP exam has open-ended questions that require analysis and critical thinking. So lots of how and why questions and open-ended answers required for that. As you can see, about 25% of instruction time is spent in lab work, compulsory lab work, and you got to save all those records for your final grading. That's all from me for now. Jazakallah khair. Over to you, Professor Sami.
Brother Sami?
Yes, I'm here. Okay, let me just highlight what is expected of this honors physics here. Student will learn to conduct laboratory and field investigation, use scientific methods during the investigations, and make informed decisions using critical thinking and scientific problem solving. And the area that we cover is essentially the classical physics, like laws of motion, concepts of conservation of energy, momentum, and different kind of forces. Then thermodynamics, optics, which you have missed here. That means the study of light, diffraction, interference, and stuff. Then electricity and magnetism, and about waves and oscillations. And then we do also teach introduction to atomic, nuclear, and quantum physics as well. And knowledge we are expected of the student that after this class, they will gather kind of factual knowledge within a conceptual framework. That means this essentially gives them the foundation to physics for the higher level physics classes in the college or universities. And practice experimental design and interpretation. That means, every time you apply formula, try to do a graph. Graph in math has one interpretation, and then when you look at from the physical point of view, then it has a different meaning. Okay, so work collaboratively with the colleagues and develop critical thinking skill. That's the whole idea of any science classes, especially physics. It teaches you, just like math, reasoning and how to solve problems through reasoning. Without the reasoning, without the logic, you cannot really solve physics problem. The course is inquiry-based course that focused on experimentation and also conceptual understanding, as I mentioned before. Without the concept, you cannot do. Physics is a terror if you do not grasp the concept at the very beginning of the class. I'm sorry, very beginning of every topic. Sometimes people do think about physics like it's like a formula, but formula do tell a lot of stories, and that essentially is based upon certain concept. This is just the mathematical formulation of descriptive concepts. That's what physics is. It's a descriptive science though, but it is represented by math. Some of the main concepts in kinematics, dynamics, momentum, which you already discussed, energy, harmonic motion, torque, electrical charges, circular motion, gravitation. Gravitation is part of the fundamental forces, but optics as well. And electricity, we do experiments and study DC circuits and how to analyze circuits, DC circuits, and complicated other circuits also. And okay, is that it? And I also teach AP Physics. AP Physics, this course is a little bit more rigorous than the normal honor physics we talked about. We follow the AP Physics curricula, which is probably mandated by College Board. And that's about it. But many of the students, or some of the students that took AP classes did sit down with me in regular honor classes as well. But the concept that is taught in AP Physics essentially are the same, but the problem level are a little bit more difficult. Assignment is a little bit different. That's all about it. Otherwise, the topics are exactly the same. Okay.
We have Sister Erica who will talk to us about social studies.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sister Erica. I am currently teaching 9th grade world geography and 10th grade world history. So I will just quickly graze over what is included in the world geography curriculum. So what we are learning about is basically physical processes that shape the patterns in our world. And also not just the physical structures that shape geography, but also furthermore, like political and the cultural devices that shape our world. So we try to shine a lens on our goal with STEM in this arena is to shine a lens on different databases and to look at different structures and technology that that tells us about the patterns of geography. So social geography and political geography, governmental structures. And so what basically I'm doing with the students is I would like them to get a firsthand experience in delving into different databases and drawing conclusions and synthesizing that information to understand the contemporary world and to understand what information is available to them in this current environment, in this technological age. So that's about it for geography. And for 10th grade US history, we look at the rise and fall of civilizations around the globe, and what caused their growth and what caused their eventual decline, and how these civilizations shape our current and contemporary times. And we inquire and synthesize as to what led to the shaping of the contemporary world through observation and understanding of various civilizations and governmental structures. We can synthesize the information about the rise and fall of civilization and the shaping of contemporary times.
And we'll have Sister Marian tell us about 11th grade US history.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mehreen and I teach 11th grade US history. This is an honors class. So it's a year-long course of American history, but we actually start from the Reconstruction. So we start from the end of the Civil War all the way to the present. And when I say present, we usually go into the early 2000s. So we cover all the way up to just about 2005, 2006, and that's where we sort of end at the end of the school year. It's an interesting course because the students are exposed and we talk about things that affect us to this day. And that can include things like, you know, the multiple world wars. We talk about the Vietnam War. We talk about the civil rights movement a lot, which obviously still, you know, has connections to things happening today. We talk about 9/11, the war on terror, and all of those things. So it's definitely something that the students find relevant. This course does have an end of course exam in the spring. As Sister Sana mentioned earlier, alhamdulillah, even though school was virtual last year, all the students were commended last year during for the end of course exam, and they all did really well. So I have high hopes this year that inshallah, and we're in person this year, so that makes it better, that they will do well this year as well. Because this is an honors course, there's a lot of emphasis placed on critical thinking skills, historical writing, as well as interpretation of original documents, and these are called DBQs, or document-based questions. So we look at a lot of primary sources, whether they're letters, newspaper clippings, political cartoons, whatever that they are, and students are expected to analyze and break them down and interpret them. There's a lot of class discussions, we have debates, we have simulations, and several writing assignments. So if your US history students are coming home and they're doing homework and they're getting ready for debates and whatnot, don't be alarmed, because there is a lot of work, and I tell my students that this class is going to be harder than your end of course exam. So if you do well in this class, then you should be fine on the end of course exam. And that is exactly my goal, is to produce students who are able to critically think about these topics just beyond the textbook. So while the textbook is essential in the classroom, we do go beyond the textbook a lot. So if you see that your students are doing research, they're using different sources of reading, it's because we like to really go above and beyond and leave the textbook not behind, but we like to supplement it with other things. In this class, we also do a year-long PBL that the students will be introduced to next week. And that is students take a current event, anything that is ongoing. So for example, last year we had the elections, right? So that was a big one. We had environmental crises, we had COVID-19, there were a lot of things that were happening. So you take one current event and the students research it throughout the year, all the way from October to April. And then we create some kind of a project based on it, where the students find a solution to a problem that they come up with, based on whatever the topic it is. So that is something we're going to be starting next week. Actually, we introduce it and then we start the research from October. So this also gets us aligned with the PBL goals of RSA. So that's something to look forward to as well. But I think that's pretty much about it for US history. Yeah, that's that.
And we have Sister Erica, who will talk to us about art.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sister Erica again. I also teach art for 9th, 10th, and 11th. And it's a group. It's grouped with 3 different grades because some students are working on fulfilling their needs for college. So we have 9th, 10th, and a couple of 11th graders. So we talk about what is art, what makes art, and usually what we do is we start our week with a study into the elements of art. So we go one by one into the elements of art, and then we look at various artists and the implementation of the elements of art within major works of art. So we do observation of influential artists. And then the third part of that is the actual application of what we learned about the elements of art. So we will focus on the various elements of art one by one, first by learning about the elements of art, and then by observing in major works of art and learning about art movements, and then the application of those elements of art to create a composition that's balanced and unified yet varied. So we will talk about 2 and 3D media and architecture, and then there's a faction of art history, where we learn about artists and their movements and their contribution to the movements. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, we have Sister Iman who will talk to us about Islamic studies.
All right, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Islamic studies. So alhamdulillah, you guys have seen from 6th grade to 8th grade that we have a lot of objectives that we cover. So when we come to 9th and above, next slide, Sister Muniza. So our goal expands. It's still the same, that we're still expanding, we're still understanding the Quran, we're still understanding the Sirah, but we start putting some other things in it. So based on the student feedback from last year, we made some changes to the curriculum. For example, the students learn Surah Ar-Rahman in 6th grade, and they learn the 30th juz surahs when they are very young. So they wanted to relearn those surahs, but much more in depth, of course, according to the level of high school. So these surahs are reintroduced to them, plus some new surahs like Surah Al-Hujurat and Surah Al-Qasas and Surah Al-Baqarah and Surah Al-Kahf. The reason for that is then when we revisit those surahs, they already have a base in it, but what we do is we really dig into the word analysis. We really analyze and we take lessons out of it, and we do some research. And so the shell is given to them, and what they try to do is they try to understand the tafsir, and if they have any questions. Also, the project is one of the projects that is introduced in the class is anything that they wanted to learn throughout those years, and they always thought about it, okay, I have some questions about this, or I have some questions about that. So they are more than welcome to do their individual projects, where they actually go and they do the research and they listen to the lectures, and then whatever they understand through the guided guidance, it's a guided research. So we recommend what should they be listening to, what should they, or if they are listening to this, then listen to this in addition. And then in the end, they're going to present their projects to everyone. Since Ramadan is this year is going to be, the whole Ramadan is going to be the academic year. So this is one more thing that we have introduced, and we're using a book for it, and it's called One Juz a Day, and it's written by one of the scholars in Australia, and he is with the Yaqeen Institute. So what we do is we try to learn the summary of the juz, and it's very concise summary. So we try to learn the summary of juz. So focus from this year is starting from 9th grade. We're going to learn 7-8 juz within every year. So by the end of the high school, inshallah, they will go through the whole summary of the Quran, inshallah, in addition to the detailed word analysis. Sira, we mostly use Yasser Qadi's lectures for Sira, and we concise the lectures, and sometimes we read them, sometimes we listen to them, and we try to drive the lessons out of it. Sira is more heavy in 9th and 10th grade. Going to 11th and 12th grade, more research is more, they do more research on it. Next slide, Sister Muniza. So we did do the critical thinking, and we figured, and just like we have put over here, the projects are aligned with the curriculum and hands-on activities and technology, Jeopardy, interactive contests, animation, blogs, videos, artistic expressions. But one thing that we realized that some of the subjects of Islamic studies, those need critical thinking. So we also have Yaqeen. We put the Yaqeen curriculum in. We included it in 9th to 12th grade. So by the time they leave high school, they know how to tackle some of the questions that are those questions that they get in Islam, about Islam when they leave the school, or even when they are in the school. So starting from this year, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get them some scholars who can come and talk to them, inshallah, in their classes. And so probably, hopefully, inshallah, a couple of them per semester. And if they have any questions or if they have any doubts, they will be able to ask those questions, or even not even having any doubts or any, but if they want to know the answer of the question, if someone poses that question to them, very basic questions is like, how can you prove that God exists? How can you prove that Quran is divine? Those kind of questions. And how can you justify the prophethood? How can you justify so much evil in the world when there is a God? Those kind of questions. So we, although the Yaqeen does, alhamdulillah, cover those subjects, but we're trying to get at least one Yaqeen scholar to come and talk, and inshallah one other scholar, we're trying to line them up, inshallah, so they can come and they can help us. So we listen to a lot of feedback from the students, and we give them a lot of hands-on work, and hopefully inshallah is going to be a very interactive experience for them. Jazakallah khair. So next is Sister Aisha.
Okay, next slide. I think it's okay. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sister Aisha. This year I'm teaching 9th grade Honors English 1, alhamdulillah. And so this is a very rigorous paced class, and we cover a lot. We cover various units, like our unit this quarter is what does it mean to be an American? And we really dive into the American identity as we've been doing this marking period, and students get to really dive into that. We write papers in class. So this semester we're writing a nonfiction narrative, and then we go with the steps of writing. So we first plan and prepare, and then right now they're currently writing their rough draft. So it is very rigorous based, and we do primarily focus on American literature. And tied in with our unit, we have a novel every 6 weeks, and it's always tied back into our unit's essential questions. So for example, this unit, we're talking about American identity, and they're currently reading a novel, Stargirl, and that is mainly for homework. So I assign the chapters for homework weekly, and they're required to do the reading, and attached with the reading, they have questions to verify their reading. We have daily readings from the textbooks, vocabulary tests. We have assessments towards our reading. So we do a lot. We do Socratic seminars, literature circles. We do a lot of speaking, presentations. So we just dive in. Alhamdulillah, we have a small class in 9th grade, so we're able to really focus more in depth with my writing. So I get to conference with students one-on-one. And students are required to also read aloud, and just to kind of help with their articulation and vocabulary. And alhamdulillah, we've been doing such a great job this year at just monitoring their pace and really just focusing on their writing skills. And we're preparing them by also kind of looking at how they're writing. We're using MLA style, making sure that their writing is introduced to kind of like college level writing. And we're also going to teach them how to write resumes this year, inshallah. So it's been great. And like I said, our classroom this year is really small, so we get to do a lot more. And yeah, and then also with our writing, they upload everything on Google Classroom, so all their writing gets to be saved, and everything else is on Google Classroom. So everything is usually on my RunWeb. So homework assignments are on RunWeb. So anytime you like rubrics are on RunWeb. So everything is really laid out on RunWeb, so that you can always refer back to it if you have any questions with homework or what assessments we're doing, what skills they're learning that week, what TEKs that we're following, and even like the novel assignments, all on RunWeb. And then you follow up on Google Classroom as well. And that's pretty much it. And Mr. Dole does 10th and 11th, so go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Dr. Dole. I teach at Dallas College. I have since 2002 full-time. So most of my experience is on the college level, and I bring that perspective into the high school classroom. So even though it is high school, there is the rigor of those college expectations. I typically approach my classrooms with 3 basic concepts that all have to do with reading. So the first is that we start with, you need to be able to read the lines. You need to understand what you're reading. You need to be able to decode the vocabulary, make sense of it, incorporate new words into your reading, writing. So I have a project that I call Easy Words, which are based on reading theory, vocabulary theory, which include context from within what the students are reading academically, as well as their novels, and then using their prior knowledge of the world as well as new understanding of a word and incorporating that understanding with multiple webs meaning like dendrite firing in the brain connection, so that hopefully they can make these words meaningful as they read new material. The second basic concept will be reading between the lines. This is understanding inferencing, for example. Understand what the context of a genre is. In the 10th grade, we have just completed a unit that dealt with Gothic literature. So what makes a reading Gothic? Maybe it's boring to the students because the sense of horror is not the same for a mind 200 years ago that it was or is for our current mindset. But what makes something that? What does that look like? How do we know? And building that prior knowledge to be able to apply it forward. And then the third would be to read beyond the lines. And when I look at that, it's really applying, analyzing, and ultimately creating. So students are writing an essay each unit based upon whatever the concept that's tied into the textbook, as well as connected theme-wise to a novel. So for example, in the 11th grade, we dealt with, going back to history, some of the foundational documents, Declaration of Independence, Bill of Rights. What constitutes freedom? How do we establish freedom? How do we continue freedom? And the novel we read was Uncle Tom's Cabin. And so within the essays, I have students defending a position of, for example, this is the most important aspect of freedom. Here's some evidence from the novel, and then here's evidence from foundational documents, orchestrated in a critical thinking manner, as well as using MLA format. And many of the students are able to produce writing that I believe ensures that will be successful at the college level. So I reinforce critical thinking using the simple ideas of reading the lines, between the lines, and beyond the lines, and that applies to the writing as well. So that is my information for 10th and 11th grade. Thank you. Oh, wait, there's another slide. Sorry, I forgot. In college, there are still some exams that are multiple choice, but of course, entry into college very much depends on success with standardized exams. So we talk about, for example, Bloom's taxonomy. there's 6 levels. You recognize a concept, then you remember, and then you are able to apply it. And really most standardized tests and multiple choice tests start at the application level. And so understanding how to apply information you know and can remember, also understanding why something's accurate or why it is not, or being able to defend a best answer versus one that is similar but not as good. And so we've been looking at a Kamiko practice in the classroom starting last week, and we'll be doing one each week in the 10th grade. We do not do that in the 11th grade. And then you can see the other resources that RSA is implementing within their programs. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sister Maniza, and I teach geometry, 9th grade geometry. We'll also hear from Sister Susie, who teaches algebra, and Brother Sammy, who teaches pre-calculus. So in order to take honors geometry, students are expected to have a strong foundation in algebra, which means they should have passed the algebra EOC, because geometry is very heavily algebra based. Geometry is also a really important part of the math curriculum that students will take in high school. They'll see many of these problems come up not only later on, they'll see 20% of their SAT exam consists of some geometry, as well as I feel that this math course has a lot of real life connections. So what we try to do is after each chapter, do some type of project-based learning that applies what we learned to something that they might end up doing later on. So for example, we learned about surface area and volume. So I had them construct buildings or castles based on different shapes that we learned, like cylinders and rectangular prisms and triangular prisms, and then get the surface area of their construction. So this is one of the projects we were working on. We're going to do projects after each concept that we've covered. So it will include things like designing structurally sound bridges, which will test. This is a fun project I like to do every year. The design matters. So they spend a lot of time researching different bridges that we have nationally and which design they want to use to construct their bridge. And they'll notice that using certain shapes makes their bridge even stronger. So I let them research, pick, and then construct it out of popsicle sticks and a hot glue, and that's all they use. But at the end of the project, it should be able to withstand, I mean, I say minimum 20 pounds, but we've had groups that have built bridges that can hold over 100 pounds, and we test it with books and weights. And then we like to do other projects too, like scale drawing. So they like that. It involves a little bit of art, and I'll probably be working with Sister Erica when I get to that chapter, but it just shows that how we can recreate a small picture into a much larger drawing. And then a lot of students will realize that they're actually not bad at art if they use a little bit of math to help them. When they draw, they can draw nice proportional shapes and pictures and portraits. We're also going to use some software to practice like design. So what someone might use in interior design and how they have to take into account, like if you're designing a house, how the angle that the door opens and the floor plan of each room. So we'll be working on a lot of fun projects throughout the year that they can see that what they're learning is actually used in real life and maybe even their careers one day. We're going to come back to Algebra 2 with Sister Susie. She has a few topics to talk about. So I'm going to go to 11th grade pre-calculus with Brother Sammy first, and then I will come back to 10th grade. Brother Sammy?
Yes, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is pre-calculus. Okay. All right. Pre-calculus is an interesting math subject, which essentially is made up of algebra, geometry, algebra and geometry, and then new topic that is added to it is trigonometry. So anybody who has algebra 2 or algebra 1 and the basic of geometry, they can handle it pretty well. This is essentially, you can call it as a refreshing your knowledge of algebra, geometry, and basically refreshing the knowledge of Algebra 2 and geometry. And new topic that is introduced is trigonometry. And so as you can see that we teach same thing, linear functions, equations, and inequalities, nonlinear inequalities, quadratic functions and equations, and they call power functions, and exponential functions and equations, number and algebraic methods, etc., and trigonometry. And then, yes, another topic that is added, I'm not sure if that is part of algebra ever, is a basic concept of probability and statistics. Trigonometry in pre-calculus is taught little rigorously. It is more than what you have learned in Algebra 1 or Algebra 2. And even that some topics are Algebra 2 are introduced and taught little regularity, so that you can eventually smoothly transit to calculus, because calculus requires the very clean concept about functions and its behaviors and concepts of trigonometry as well. So it's algebra, but a little bit more rigorous, more detailed, and trigonometry is new, probability is new as well. And that's all about pre-calculus.
Okay, we'll have Sister Susie talk to us about Algebra 2.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Susie Bsila. I'll be teaching, inshallah, Algebra 2 for 10th grade. I'm already reviewed with them some of the concepts of Algebra 1. So they refresh the information, since Algebra 1 is a prerequisite for Algebra 2. So we spent like the first couple of weeks reviewing some important concepts of Algebra 1. In Algebra 2, then we go in depth a little bit about different kind of function, quadratic function, exponential functions. We talk about inverse functions and cubic root function and different kind of root functions, and how to solve them and what do they mean, how to graph them. As Sister Mirza said, during every chapter, every concept, we usually use hands-on activities to relate, most importantly, to real life. And how is quadratic function, we're gonna need it in real life. So we let them design basketball because of the projectile motion. Also, we, at the end of the year, usually, or sometimes before that, we do an escape room fun project. So for them to integrate all what they learned and make fun quizzes, fun questions for the escape room and they play it with their other classmates. And it's fun in the same time, they relate it to real life and they can build it by themselves so they understand exactly what's going on. Also, at the end of the year, we do some introduction about probability, data analysis and statistic, and trigonometry to get them ready for the pre-cal for Brother Sami. That's for Algebra 2. I'll be also filling in, so Sister Ruwaida for Arabi. Of course, in Arabi, usually they focus on 4 main parts: speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Of course, they try to make the speaking that it's easy for them and they have confidence when they're talking to each other in Arabic. And of course, that would also be helpful when they're listening. So Sister Ruwaida asked them to listen to some videos, and try to ask them what they understand from that. And of course, this also will lead to reading. So mashallah, most of our students will be so fluent reading and understanding the text. And of course, it's differentiated. Each level has different subjects and levels of difficulty. By the end of the year, usually they will be able to write very well and construct very well constructed essays in Arabic. Every year, Sister Ruwaida does that. And of course, as you can see in the slide, that she has intermediate Arabic 1, and also she has advanced, and of course based on the their level that they decide from the beginning of the school year. Jazakum Allahu khairan.
Assalamu alaikum. I will be talking to you guys about 9th grade computer science. So I also teach this course to the 9th graders, and since most of the ninth graders have had at least 1 or 2 years of programming by this point, I really like to focus now on their writing skills, writing code. We've covered the main concepts of how to write classes, how to write if statements and for loops, but now I want to see them writing files from scratch. So, and making multiple files work together, getting input from the user, manipulating it, producing some output. So this course is a lot more, I guess, critical thinking. I give them problems to solve, which they work on throughout the class period. So less time now lecturing them and more time seeing what they can do. And almost every day I give them about 2 to 3 programming exercises where they have to fill in the files, they have to get it to work. And we use a couple of online platforms. We use CodeHS, we're gonna use Replit. We do a lot of practice exercises on College Board. College Board has excellent practice, multiple choice and open-ended questions that we use. We have an online book that's CS Awesome that, I mean, it's nice because everything is virtual. They can review at home. I give them short video assignments if they didn't understand the material. And then from there, based on their passion and interest in pursuing this as maybe a future career, I recommend that they take this course. And AP Computer Science, honestly, it's a very rigorous course. And I recommend students, whether or not the goal is to pass the exam, it will really deepen their critical thinking skills and hands-on skills. And I think everyone who I recommend take this course and everyone who has taken this course with me, they were excellent students, and I hope they do somehow pursue computer science as a major or a minor in the future. It's not for everyone. So anyone who has taken it with me is definitely someone who is hardworking and I think has the skill set to pursue this as a major. The exam, of course, is meant to be extremely rigorous. I would say it's even harder than any dual credit class that you take. They make it much harder than that. They even make it a little slightly harder than what you would take in your first year of college. But I think it's great exposure to college level programming, right? It's rigorous, it's open-ended. The critical thinking problems that they give are very, I would say that most students in other high schools, I don't think they offer this until 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, but you'll see the 9th graders are taking this. And I'm proud of them, you know, regardless by the end of the class. So the next concept I want to go over with you guys, well, not concept, but assessments. So throughout the year, we have our fall map, we have our spring map, we have the winter map. Right now, students are taking the fall map, which is kind of the beginning benchmark to see what they recall after this virtual year. And then from there, we can identify where students need help and then build from there. And mostly this is actually up until 8th grade. And then we have the STAR exams, and you'll see that this is for 6th to 8th grade. But when you get to high school, we have the Eoc exams. And the Algebra Eoc, which is offered to the 8th and 9th graders, 9th graders who haven't taken it in 8th grade because it's required to graduate high school. You must pass the Algebra Eoc. So students have to take this. If they don't pass, they will have to take it again until they do pass. Biology Eoc in 9th grade, the English 1 Eoc, which is also in 9th grade, the English 2 Eoc in 10th grade, and then the US History Eoc. So this is, as per Texas requirements, students must take these 5 exams and for high school graduation. Extracurricular activities, the clubs that we have, and you probably heard about the many events that we did even through the virtual year last year. We have Red Cross Club. They're gonna also continue this year with community service projects and humanitarian aid. Some of the projects they did last year was raising money for Lebanon. raising supplies for veterans. They had 2 really successful events, and I know they do fun workshops to raise money, like the virtual baking workshop they did last year. We have Business Professionals of America, which is led by Sister Amina. And if students are interested in this, then they can reach out to her. And what's nice about this organization is it introduces students to real life business skills. So if somebody is passionate about public speaking, they can compete with Sister Amina's guidance on improving their public speaking skills, practicing speeches, and then competing with other students across Texas and then nationally if they make it to the national competition. Or if their passion is programming, or even they have typing. So she has, I think, a list of over 20 different categories students can choose to compete in. And this year, it will be in person, so you can reach out to her. National Honor Society will begin after this first marking period ends. So students who have been maintaining A honor roll or AB honor roll this first marking period will and have maintained good character throughout this first marking period will be invited to join National Honor Society. And just like previous years, we have events planned, inshallah, and some of the events that we've done in the past, we had cupcake wars, we did talent show, we also had a basketball tournament. I don't think we'll do basketball tournament this year, but we have some fun events planned for you guys. We volunteered at food banks, we raised over $300 for Team Trees. So those are just some of the events we've done in the past, but we'll brainstorm once we have our first meeting with our students and plan out and finalize our events for this year. Hallmark policy, homework is in high school expected to be rigorous. It will be assigned regularly, generally not on the weekends, unless maybe there's some Quran memorization and that might be on the weekends. But other than that, for the ELAR and math and science, computer science, we don't assign homework on the weekends. And students are expected to take ownership of this. And the policy we have for late submission is 1 day late is 10 points and 2 days is 20 points and so on. Honor roll, we will have honor roll as well this year. We'll have all A honor roll and then we'll have AB honor roll and all B honor roll. So, and it's important in high school for students to really care about their GPA because now with colleges making SAT scores optional, some colleges, there's even more weight put into getting those A's and getting your GPA up and maintaining your GPA and also joining clubs, just being active. So now, you should put more focus into some of these areas, as well as study for your SATs. Course level, every course is either a level 2, level 3, or level 4 course. And the levels correspond to the GPA, so the grade point average. Level 2 is just your regular courses. Level 3 are your honors courses, which follow the state mandated curriculum, but then also it goes beyond that. And then level 4 are your AP or your dual credit classes. They're both level 4. And the advantage to this is you get an A in an AP or dual credit class gives more weight to your GPA. So that's 5.0. If you get 100 in one of those classes, that's a 5.0. It really bumps up your GPA. Honors is the highest you can get, 4.5. And then for academic, your grade level courses, those are 4.0. Okay, the Ferpa Act is just a reminder that if you are taking pictures of, or if you have pictures from events from the school, we have to be mindful about parents' preferences on whether or not they want pictures of their students shared on social media. So please be mindful of this. And if you have questions or unsure, then you can also shoot an email to admin to get permission. Okay, communication policy. If there are any issues inside the classroom or at school or throughout the school day, please reach out to a teacher. You can send an email outlining your concerns, and if the issue is not handled, then we can escalate that, or you can contact the office. And if it still is not handled, then we can escalate it, and we can have Sister Mazida have a one-on-one with Sister Mazida. And if it's still not resolved, then we can set up a meeting with Sister Ghazala, inshallah. And this is just a reminder that our COVID protocols, well, every day we are doing temperature checks before students even get out of the car in the drive-through lanes. We are encouraging students to wash their hands throughout the day, especially before they eat or after PE. Students are encouraged to bring extra masks. They can keep it in their backpack. We also have extra masks in all the classrooms. So students have lost their mask, we give them an extra mask. We encourage students to be disinfecting their desks, use wipes. I know wipes is something that needs to be replenished probably every month. So it's never a bad idea to just send your child to school with extra bag of wipes, and keeping distance as much as possible. We have classroom fogging daily, and so when it's a spray that's emitted that is like sanitizes our hallways, and then we all stay in the classroom when we are doing the classroom fogging. And then updates, admin has been sending anytime there is any type of COVID positive case or COVID positive, even indirect cases within the family, they've been notifying anyone who was in contact with that teacher or student. And just a reminder, if your child is sick, if they have a fever, sore throat, runny nose, cough, muscle or body aches, headaches, fatigue, then it's always better to get them checked out, stay home, make sure it's not COVID before sending them back. And we have tests that we can do at school or with your own doctor. And then just so we can stop the spread and keep school open throughout the year. Now, if you have any questions, I'm going to open the floor for me or for anybody else, any of the teachers who have spoken.
Sister Sana, I have a quick question as a parent. Okay, so I see that the dual credit is like, so let's say if there's a course that is offered PE or arts at school, but if children take it at the college, would that be considered as a dual credit?
Yes, that's dual credit. So they'll get the high school credit for it, and they'll get college credit for it, but it may or may not apply to their college graduation. So we do try to align as many courses as we can that will be accepted by tier 1 colleges. That's so Sister Ghazala, anytime we do introduce classes at UTD, to dual credit, we look at the UTD conversion plans, because that's a tier 1 college, right, as compared to UTA. So UTD is a tier 1 college, so we look at those classes to see which ones transfer. But so arts is mostly it's a class that is like a common core class, right? So they'll have to kind of take that across the board no matter what major. But something like PE, we encourage them to take it because it's a good, easy introduction class, right? So even though they may not need PE necessarily in college, depending on what their major is, it's a good introduction class to the dual credit program. So, it's not too hard or challenging, and they can get used to the Blackboard system, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yeah, got it. So basically, if they take it, it's going to bump their GPA if they make a good grade over there.
Exactly.
But not necessarily they will get the college credit, right?
Yeah, they may. So, and that's just for very few classes, right? The majority of them do count, which is the arts that they're taking, speech, philosophy. I think really PE was maybe the only one that won't translate very well, right? But it was just a good introductory course. And like you said, it does help with their GPA. Yeah.
Okay, so AP chemistry, is that also, no, sorry, AP history. So that's 12th grade?
AP history, they can take it in 12th grade, yeah, depending on their graduation plan and when they want to incorporate it. Because in 11th grade, they are focusing on US history, right? Because of that EOC. So it depends on that student's plate, how much they can handle. But they're more than welcome to take it in 12th grade. Mhm. Great questions.
Do we have any other questions?
Okay, Jazakallah khair for your time, everybody. Thank you for coming. If you do have any questions, you can always email us individually, email admin staff, depending on your question, and we will hope to answer you in a speedy manner and get you the help that you need. Jazakallah khair for attending, and have a great weekend.
Assalamualaikum. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, everybody.